And welcome everybody to the Kentuckiana FileMaker Developers Group. And we're back again with another episode of FileMaker 101 with Alan Bird. And I'm going to go ahead and just turn it right over to Alan.
Okay, let's see. Now I have to get control of this monster, right?
Yes, I've got to allow the screen sharing. Advanced. All participants. There we go. I think you should be able to do it now.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I've got all participants selected. You should be able to. Open it up even a little further. Just make sure.
What it is, I don't see the thing. No, that's not what I'm looking for. The control panel for me to accept is not coming up. Let's see. I was trying to be smart by minimizing that window. Let's see. Meeting controls.
You're saying you're not seeing the share screen button?
No, that's what I'm looking for. I minimized the little chat thing, and I think it closed something else, and I can't figure out where to get it open again. Oh, decided I would bring all to the front. That wasn't it. Cal review. Oh. Come on.
There you are.
Okay. So what screen do we show? Is it showing just a blank screen?
Yes,
Black
it is.
screen. Okay. Since I got multiple screens, I want to have the right one I've got in front of me now. Okay, so we'll close this down, minimize that. Okay. First of all, just a quick disclaimer, this is not a certified FileMaker training program. What it is a means of implementing the training that FileMaker provides. You know, it's sort of augmented. I mean, I've taken some FileMaker training from Salon and some other groups, and they're excellent. This is not to replace that. But what it is, I've been doing FileMaker for over 30 years, and it's my way of implementing it and quickly and efficiently. These sessions, this is section 5, 1 through 4, and other sessions are available on our YouTube channel. So not only this, but all the things we've done over the years. So you ought to take a look at it. Okay, enough being said, let's open this up. I don't want to do that one. I want to do this one over here. Let's see. Okay, can you see, do you see that opening screen? Okay.
Yeah.
You can see it? Okay. Yeah. This is the opening screen, and just so that when you get the file, there's different ways you can log into it. The default is going to be 99999, real hard to, so there's 6 nines in a row. And this opens it up. This is the way I build most of our solutions. It's just for simplicity. And for for Sean, who's new, this is just the way I do it. If you give a project to 100 different developers, you'll have 100 different ways of doing it. This is just the way I've done it with my own crazy way of doing things behind the scenes. So just pick what you want out of it and fly. So what it is if you open up in the highest level, this is the user list. And so what happens is I've preset it so there's 4 different type of logins you can get, and it turns things on and off. And where this works out really well is when you start working into security and access levels. So as people log in, it'll change their access level so I can turn things on and off. So for example, I've got the different levels here, but if you notice, if I do a find and I just look for my name and perform find, you notice the developer level, which is the only one that can actually get behind the scenes and change scripts and that type of stuff, is not there. That's because in the script that it does a find, it actually constrains it and pulls out anything that's listed as developer. So this way I'm able to build a solution and share it with my clients, and they log into all the time, but my name doesn't show up, so they don't know my access level. So that's, the type of thing. But if you look up here in the upper right corner, it always shows who signed in, what access level they have, and this is the user access level. And what happens is when they log in, it just makes those as a global variable, $$ global variables. So the user privileges and user access level. So that is carried around the whole thing. So I just know what I want to do. If I want to change it, I just log back out. If you notice, the lost button disappeared because I came in as a manager. And if I log back out of this, there's an admin, they get it all. And it's manager, so you can play with what's available and what's built. You also notice that it turns off certain options over here, so they can't get to the only people that can get to the user list that they can add people and that type of stuff is in those buttons. So it just makes it real easy. I can turn things on and off. And the hide function is probably the single most important thing that I think was added to FileMaker over the years, just because I couldn't survive without it. Because the best thing about it is if it's not visible, it can't be used. And if you turn it off, so pretty important. Now, if I want to get any work done, I need to back to 6.9. Now we get back to development level.
I agree with you there, Alan. The hide function has been just so useful. I mean, yeah, I couldn't get by without it anymore.
The one thing I have found out on the hide function, like on those buttons, like on the user list, you've got the on the hide function here. So I just have it so that if the user level is less than 7, it doesn't show up. You can actually put in a couple different functions in here. I found out I don't put in a very complicated situation at all because it can cause problems. So what I'll usually do is I'll try and either do access level, or maybe if it's on a field that's not filled in or something, I only have 1 or 2 things there. You can actually put in a real big complex calculation, but it's not really advised, just because it's pretty intensive. on the system. So you want to try and keep it as simple as possible. So, and since I use a lot of hide functions, I really work on keeping that as clean as possible. Okay.
That's kind of one of those now you tell me things, because I have done some things with the hide function that are so involved. I have even a menu system that sets layout variables that.
But have you run into problems on those?
I have not, but most of it is just setting variables.
Oh, okay, yeah. But like if you're trying to hide something, like on the or, if you type in or, it doesn't work the same as if you click on the one that they use in their. Yeah. So you've got to be careful on that type of stuff. You know.
I wasn't aware of that. I'd have to.
But I've only run into it a couple times, and it's like, why is it? And so I just try and keep that really simple. It just makes it easier to manage.
Yeah.
And by coming up with a number system, it really makes it easy for me to restrict what can and cannot happen.
Yeah. And it can be kind of, I don't know, tricky at times if you're doing any kind of complex calculation for that hide function, because in so many ways you're basically calculating the reverse.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
It's like you're wanting to hide something rather than show it based on the criteria. So it's almost like you're trying to calculate the negative, and it can get just aggravating trying to do that. But that being said, I mean, we could probably have a good group sometime just doing, let's all talk about the tricks, things that we've done with the hide calculation that, some of the things that we've been able to do with that. But I also wanted to clarify what you were showing with the user level. So when you are re-logging in from user to user, you're running a login script, I presume, that sets those global variables.
Yes. We showed that one, the earlier ones. Let's just do a quick look at that. Log in, start. So what happens is it goes and actually looks up that user. That user has whatever, and so then it just runs down through it, and it sets all the different things, as well as this actually has a logger, and it shows every time someone has logged in and that type of stuff and what level, so they can jump in and out. And then so if their development level does that. So also what happens is on this one, I've got developer, user, staff, office, manager, admin. So those are the only ones I actually have to put in security, which makes it a lot easier to manage. I'm working with a solution now that I inherited, and in the security level, they have 170 different people listed. Now that's an absolute nightmare to manage. Where on this, you just put them in a user list, and then but then what you can control it as to how many are actually allowed to do it based upon their user. If I go over here and then down here at the bottom, my default setup screen is so it's only allowed to have 10 users at a time. And so, they can have as many people on their list as they want, but only 10 users. So it's not exactly kosher, but it works a hell of a lot easier to manage. And we're going to get into this file setup screen. I'm a real big component of a developer needs to know how to cut and paste. I mean, it's their bread and butter. The faster, if you've done the solution before, if you can copy it over, so long as it's in modular chunks, it just works out great. And we've made some changes on this, and we're going to actually make those changes today as a group. Okay, so let's see where I'm on my list here. Oh, what is a core file? A core file is a base file that you can build on, and so that's what we're going to be building. We're here. This is a core file that you can take it, and what I do is I can actually clone a file, make a couple changes on my file setup pages, and it launches it. I've got one client that he uses a core file and changes probably 10 to 15 per month. So using the same one over and over again, and I don't have to do a thing. I just make another copy of it. I change the solution name. He can't change it. so I can invoice him for a new copy of it. But that way he does all the work. I don't have to, and it locks it in. Because as an admin person, he can go in and make all sorts of things I allow him to, but he cannot go behind the scenes and make changes on scripts and layouts and fields, which gives you a little bit of control. So these fields here are locked into the system. My solutions have a security based upon expiration dates, so that what happens is if it gets close to expiration date, it says it's going to expire. And then when it actually hits a date, it does say expired. Right now, it would just say expired up here. Right now, this core solution does not turn off. What I do is we do a lot of barcodes, so I'll turn off that for part of the functionality, or we'll turn off the ability for them to add any new things, so they can still look at historically. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. No, it's coming. Okay, what we're going to try and tackle, last time what we did is we added the ability to put in barcodes, if you remember that. And so that's great, but now you want to be able to use them on the other end. So what we'll do is we're going to actually put it in where you can actually scan a barcode and then process it through. So let's go ahead and pull that together. Get my other screens open here. First of all, if you're going to, what I normally do is I'll put like a QR code here on the front page that you click it and it would then activate it. Problem is nowadays you have mobile device as well as a desktop, so you can have a scanner or using an iPad or an iPhone, so you've got to be able to handle it for both. So we'll do it for both of them. But the first thing you have to do is I normally build it based upon using a handheld scanner and doing the logic that way. So to do that, one of the things you have to do is you've got to have a place for it to go. So set up opening. And we're going to have to do a layout. Let's see here. Where you actually can do the scanning from. Core, scan QR code, layouts. And since I know the mobile copy runs a little bit differently, I'm going to clone that. So I'll have an empty copy ready to go when I'm ready for it. That. And put a little bit of a header on this. 75. And since you don't know what device they're going to use it for, you want to make this fairly small. We don't need a footer on this. One of the things you have to do is you have to be able to import the data into a field. And since I do this on a global level because I may be able to use that scan for multiple different purposes, and I'll let the parsing of it figure out where it needs to go. So we need to add a field. Grab the wrong one, cancel. And let's see, scan field. Copy. And what'll happen on this is, since it's a global field and it works throughout the whole system, you input the data. But what happens is on all my scanners, I put a tab at the end of it. So when it leaves the field, it actually will trigger something. So we'll have to write the script for that. I had a couple scripts to write here. So the first thing that's going to happen is when you click on that icon on the front, it's going to have to go to that layout. And what you want to do is, this is where it's going to do a couple different things. If you were just only using handheld scanner, you could always go into browse mode, go to the layout, go to the field, and you'd be done. So that would be nice and easy, but life isn't that way. What's going to actually happen is we're going to actually have to put in a catch for this, and it's going to actually have to determine if it's a mobile device or not. So if it's a mobile device, it's going to do something a little bit different. So this would be for the normal one. If it's a mobile device, that's going to go right in here. And what this function is, or this part of the script is this is where it actually would parse it out. So that's going to be another script. So I'll write that and then copy that in over here. Copy. So this is where it actually would exit out of that field and actually then do the work. First thing you want to do is you want to set your error capture and set a variable. And what it's going to do is it's going to take the information that's in that field and put it to a variable only for the script. That's a single $sign. A double $sign, it stays until you cancel it out. Single one, it ends at the end of the script. And I always freeze the window so that the client doesn't, or the person using it doesn't see it as you're jumping around, because we'll be doing a little bit over here. And because it's on this script, what you want to do is I set the scan field back to 0. So next time you use it, there's not a value in there. because it's setting a value, it carries it over to a variable, but then you clean it back out. So next time you use it, the field's automatically empty. So then you go into your find mode. You want to go to that layout that we just built. Or no, this is now actually going to your contact list. What we're going to do here is this is going to be a single use of it, but you can change it by, if the variable started with a number or a letter or something like that, you could have it go to different things. You've got to be careful on this, because if you got a file, let's say the number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but if you only scan in 1, 2, it would give you all of the records that have that. So you want to make it sure it's an exact match. And that's where you put in the double equals. Then you put in the scan. So it's going to find the exact match of that serial number. And that serial number is what is what's going to be, we've hidden in the QR code. Then it performs the find. Now, if life is easy, you only have one, you can go right to the contact detail. But sometimes you're going to get situations where it doesn't, if it doesn't find something. So what would happen there is you've got to have something else. Let's see. File. We want this to go run the script again. Oh, that is deleted. So what will happen is, if it does not find anything, it'll show an error, no record found, and then it gives them the option. What do they want to do? Go home or scan again? If they hit scan again, which is the last message choice was a 2, it'll go right back to the same routine. They can scan another one. Otherwise, it gives them a chance to go home. The other possibility you have is, so you've got, if it finds one, it goes to detail. If it doesn't find anything, it lets them do something. But the other option you've got to deal with is, what happens if it finds more than one? So in this case, it's going to go to a contact list, so that then they can narrow the choices down. And I'm just a big proponent of, I put exit script at just about the end of everything, just so I know it doesn't be left open. So I'll save that. And we'll save that. Now, we've got all this information in here that we use to perform the script. This is what we copy over into what happens up here. Be a little bit of a change, because if they're on a mobile device, they actually don't go to that layout. They don't see it. You're going to the layout using the camera that's on the mobile device. And then it inserts that data. And this is how you set that up. It says, I'm going to close that. It's going to be a barcode, and you can actually specify some information on that. There's a barcode with the type of stuff. It's going to be from the back, so it's not one on the front. And then from there, all the rest of this is the same. All it's doing is it's shortcutting. It's not jumping back into that field.
I have a quick question, Alan.
Yeah.
When using a mobile device, does it have to be FileMaker Go on an iPhone, or does this work in WebDirect on like an Android or web?
No,
on iPhone?
you don't have an access, to my knowledge, to be able to tell that camera to, so you, in WebDirect, we have to use a scanner. I've never been able to get it to work because now it may be that the Windows version of FileMaker Go that the guys in Ireland are building would be able to do it, but the standard FileMaker Go, you're telling it to go pull up the camera. I don't know how to do that on a WebDirect.
Okay, so it does have to be FileMaker Go to be able to do it.
And I mean, and since it's a free download, it's usually not too much of a problem.
Yeah.
It was different when you had to pay for that FileMaker Go, but now that it's just included in, so it's, it's an Apple only iOS device, but that covers a lot of ground.
I've got something coming up where I'm going to need to do exactly that and provide the ability to scan a barcode using a mobile device. And now you've saved me the trouble of going to research to find out if there are options. Now I know, well, if that's the case, it does have to be FileMaker Go on a iPhone, which the client is probably fine with.
Yeah, and I mean, what is when we run into a problem like that, if they're on Windows only, then they buy an inexpensive camera and put it on a tablet or something like that has you can install FileMaker on it, but then they'll have to install FileMaker on the device. It will not work with WebDirect, to my knowledge.
Okay.
So yeah, you'll be able to copy this pretty much over and to go. So now we need to go over here and I always put a button on there, even though so that's going to run the scan, lookup, exit, perform. So what happens is, as which is the same one as this. So this is going to be a setup trigger on object, and that is going to be on exit perform. So what happens is you scan it, it's going to go to this field. As soon as it kicks off, it's going to go. And I really don't have an easy way of demoing. The mobile device, but I can do browse. Let's go back to the home screen. And layout, and what we'll do is move this down and put a symbol over there.
And Alan, just for the sake of clarity and knowing that we have at least one person who's pretty new to FileMaker, I know when I first explored the idea of using a scanner, barcodes, anything along those lines, it was such a mystery to me how all of that worked. So what we're doing here, just and to kind of simplify and clarify, is what's happening is, when you have a scanner hooked up to your computer to scan a barcode, we're dropping the cursor into a field, and then the scanner reads the barcode and translates that data and drops it into the field, just like any other device, like a keyboard or anything else. It's basically just entering that data into that field. And what's happening is we've got a script trigger on there that as soon as that data is entered, it immediately fires that script to go and look up based on that data. And that data in this case is a serial number for a contact name. So that, or for a contact. So eventually, essentially the barcode is you're scanning the barcode, which gets that serial number, drops it in the field, and then uses that serial number in a find script to find the associated contact person.
That's good.
So.
Now, the only thing is what we don't have is I don't have a place for it to land. So I need to build that contact. I did put it in here. So that will work. Go home. Cancel, browse. Okay, so behind this button here, I've got where it'll actually trigger the script. So this is the go-to scan script. You place that. Helps if I put it in there, right, guys? Perform script. Go to scan. Okay. Browse. That's better. So now it's going to go here. It's highlighted, and so that's where the barcode goes. So where did I put my cheat sheet? Okay. Layout. Let's just grab the field and pretend. Contact, and what we're doing the serial number. So that's the number that would be in the barcode. So if we go back over here, scan it, drop it in. It says it didn't find it. So that is the number. So we're going to demonstrate how to use Script Debugger.
I was just going to say, now we get to track down a bug.
Tools, Script Debugger. And if you use your data viewer, you'll see that, the username and the user level, those are already locked in and with privacy. So those are out, those stay with the whole thing the entire time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go in here, it'll perform the script, go to layout, wait a minute, why is it not doing it? Oh, there it is. Go to contact list. Oh, it puts a $$ in. Don't make any sense. If that's the case, yeah. So the $$ does not work on that one. I'll have to work on that one. I copied this script over for something I've been doing for years, and so something changed. I'll have to figure that one out. But so this is an easy way to get to it. And I wanted to show that because the next part of that is, how you can actually automate data entry. So questions on the barcode scanning.
Is that field a number field? And is that maybe why it's the $$ isn't working? Is it
Let's go find out.
When you search in a number field, if you search for 1, does it find every number that has a 1 in it, or does it
That
find just a
no,
1?
it'll start with 1.
So it'll
So
find
if
everything that starts with 1.
right. So if you did 12, it would do 1, 2,
120.
as well as 123, 1, but it wouldn't do 2, 3 anything. 2, 3, 1. It starts from left to right.
Okay,
Let's see.
so the double equal still should be the way to
Yeah.
make it an exact match. Yeah.
Oh, it is a number field. You're right. And I bet you if we go back there and put that back in, it'll work now. Good call. What happens is I normally will make this like for our schools. I'll put a V in front of it. It's a visitor, a T if it's a teacher, a S if it's a student, a parent, it's an A for authorized. So it's always a text field. But since for this demo, I didn't do that, I set it up as a number field. Okay, so I put the $sign back into it. Let's try now.
Nope.
Oh, nope.
Guess that wasn't it.
That was a good try though. But it is something like that, and that's why Script Debugger is so valuable. It's somewhere in that system that's doing it. So
Yeah.
we'll go back in and take that back out so we can finish the demo, and then I'll do my homework. And I've got to go back over here and do it as well here.
While you're doing that, Alan, may I make a comment?
Yeah.
If you search for the number 1 in a number field, you'll only find an equal match to the number. You're not going to find, let's say you have 18 and 1 and 21 and 31 and 22 or whatever. If you search for 1, you'll only find one record that has the number 1 in it. It's a value index. So
when it's a number field.
yeah, when it's a number field. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Alan and I got reversed on which fields we were talking about when we were both describing.
Yeah, maybe if you're talking about a text field, then it's reversed. Yes, then if it starts with the number 1, you'll find 12 and 11 and 1 as well. Yeah.
Thanks, Vince. That's why these things are so good. We all learn stuff. I've been at this a long time and I'm still learning stuff all the time. Okay, so that's sort of the scan thing. And if you do a mobile device on that, what happens is it would scan it. It would not even go the other thing. It immediately does a search and comes back to here. Okay, and if you download the demo file, you'll be able to actually play with that. So okay, now the next thing I want to talk about is parsing data, because we're going to actually do some auto entry type of things, and I want to change a little bit. What we did here is in my admin setup file. Originally, you had to put in all this data, and I decided, there's an easier way of doing that. What happens if, since we know this is a solution name, that's going to be this part in here, why don't we just have the system do it itself? So I did some changes on that, and let's see. Manage. I'll need to add some fields. Manage layouts. Get rid of that. Database. One of the things that I love is up here in the corner, you can do creation order. And so if you need to add something right now, I'm looking at a file, and this has 6 fields. I'm looking at the one that I prototype built, and it has 73. I just go to the end and say, okay, which are the last ones I need to add? So I'll take and grab these, put them in over here, cancel. Now I've got 73 fields, so it makes it real easy to add, copying over. Again, developers' best tool is cut and paste. So, and I'm gonna need to add a contact field. Go ahead and add that now. Yeah, this is 33, and the other one I want to build is 36. Going to add parameters, confirmation, and event. Okay. Just a quick little note. I meant to mention this on the database field. If you notice, when you go to this, almost every single one of mine has something AutoCalc in it. What that is, it's real simple, is I eliminate text formatting. I trim it to make sure I get rid of the spaces at the beginning and the end. By doing that, what happens is, you get one where maybe name order. Yeah. So this is the default I use for everything. Text format, remove, trim for self. What happens if you cut and paste, if someone is putting in data, they're copying it from a Word document, dropping it in. If you don't put that in there, it'll copy the size and the formatting of that text. And you may not want it, maybe italicized, maybe color, whatever the case is. This way, it drops it back into neutral so that you've got control of it. So it'll now work as you want it to be displayed. So I do that almost on all my fields that don't have something in them. It just makes it a lot less troubleshooting later on. Okay. Get rid of that. Go over here. Cancel. Core. Setup. So we're going to change this. And what I'm going to do is layout is the exit redirect stays. The rest of these are going to do some automatic calculations. So I'm going to get rid of actually all of that.
I just stepped away for a second, but did you answer Leslie's question from the chat?
I didn't see it. I don't have the chat open
Okay.
on the screen.
All right, she has a question. Is there a way to see the date a field was created if you don't include a comment? Since it will sort in creation order, that data is in there somewhere, right? That's the question. Is there a way to see what date the field itself was actually created?
Yeah, that goes back into your management system. In other words, by default, everything I have automatically puts in the date was created, who created it, last time was modified, time was modified. Now this is sort of one that most people don't do. This is modified host timestamp. If you're ever going to do any syncing, you can't use the modified date there. What this does is this changes when you actually change something. It does it by host timestamp.
But what she's asking, Alan, is there a way to see, like if you create a new field right now, is there a way to look back sometime later and see when did you create that field?
Oh no, by default, no. Now, this is Brian Jin has one where he actually logs every keystroke and everything else when you add something to it. I don't have that in here, but it can be done. But you then now have to record when you add things that in.
There are ways to, I was just going to follow up with that, is you can query the schema with like SQL to get information about the database itself, the tables, the fields and things like that. That's not included in any of those.
No. The best you'd have is like in creation order, you could have this, it shows you in the order, the time it was created, but it doesn't have a timestamp of when it was created. You could manually put it in down here,
There's no way to look it up.
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe in the DDR, maybe I've not had to do that, so I don't know.
The DDR doesn't have that in the information.
I didn't think so.
However, in the new DDR, that information is there. So, but the new DDR is kind of not completely finished, and so none of the third-party developers have embraced it yet, just because there's still bugs with it and there's unfinished stuff. But yeah, it would be cool for them to get it finished so that tools out there can get updated, and then everyone in the community can benefit from it.
Yeah. But that's why we do a lot of syncing between different systems, and so you have to have something like that in here so you can at least control that. Okay.
May I say something at this point?
Yeah.
Alan, sorry. Vince is being very humble. He has a really awesome tool, Inspector Pro.
Does that have it? I was wondering if that does it.
Does it have? Does it work with the new DDR yet, or is that what you're saying?
No. Does it have the creation data in it?
No, I mean, it has to originate from the output from FileMaker, and the current DDR does not have that information at the field level, or at the script level or anything. But in the new XML, there is a creation timestamp for things and who created it, etc. So we're just waiting for Claris to finish the work on the new XML, and once they finish that work, then I think it's kind of running to the finish line to get our tools updated, and again, like I said, the community can benefit from that. So
is that a bit of inside information that's something in development that's coming?
Well, I mean, it's 19.5 came out 2 weeks ago, and now you can save as XML on the server, but you're saving that new format of DDR, like so-called DDR 2.0 in a sense, but because that output isn't completely finished, we can't really benefit from the fact that you can now save it on the server. I mean, they do mention that you could do diffs on it, but in my experience, diffs with really large XML files isn't gonna work very well. So yeah. Anyway, sorry.
That's all right. Thanks.
Yeah. So we're gonna do this sort of automated, and so this is gonna be the exit. What this is when you close the file, if you're on desktop, it automatically will send it to whatever record you have versus the blank screen. The blank screen is still there, but it's in front, so the average user doesn't even realize it. Now what we'll do here is we're going to do a couple different automated scripts. Rub direct host. And this is going to be the name of the host where the file is actually being stored. So that then automatically creates that. So now you got your public link that automatically generates for it. We're also going to have a staff script. So this way you can actually run a script to do something else for like the staff or the behind the scenes people. This would take it to the normal opening page. This would take it to the login page automatically is how I've got it set up. Then we're going to do something if you have a file that is coming from a different source. Let's say they register, we do a lot of registration and they're using their own online registration, but then they have to come over to our system. So what happens is they just export the data and imports it right into it. And so this script is called event. And the information that we're going to actually ask for in the parameters is going to be first name, last name, email, zip, and confirmation. And the delimiter that's set between it is a slash. And so in this case, this is what this would look like. Now, we have to build the event script, and then I'll demonstrate it. So we've got the staff script here, which we had before. But I think I need to make a change on that now. Staff. Copy. Cancel. I didn't mean to do that. And then I need to add an event script. Okay, this is where we're going to do some information. I put at the top of here, a normal link is this, the staff script is this, and this would go to whatever layout you want it to go to. In this case, it's going to go to the pin where they log in. To do this, you have to make sure in your extended security settings, you have to do the FMR URL script. You have to enable that to use this. Then what will happen is if the information, it would then parse it out. What parsing is when you take a string of information and actually then put it where you need it to go. In this case, it's going to be a long piece of information. Let me, and it sets it as the script parameter. It goes into the parameter, and then it parses it out. In this case, what it is we've told the client that the first name, if there is a space in it, they have to put an underline, because in a URL, you cannot have any spaces. So like if you've got someone with Mary Jo as their first name, there's a space in there. So when they export it out, they put an underline in there. And this just reverses it back out. So any substitutes, any underline is made back into a space for each of these discrete things. First name, last name, email. Since there can't be a space in it, we didn't have to worry about that. And these between are custom functions that are invaluable. If it's before this, you tell it. So it's the first, this is the first one. It takes it, it does not include it, and runs it through. So this is the confirmation at the end. It's now going to stamp it as a new event and put it in. So now that we have that in place, and down here, it'll generate the barcode like we set up last month or month before. So, but obviously we actually want to have some data in here. So let's go get some data. Copy. New window. So if we just put someone's name in here, and so then here's some information, the email address, the zip code, and a confirmation. So if we take this information, let's save, I don't need to save that. Now, so for auto population, if I open a browser, and I copy that into it, I hit return, it opens up the database, populates it, and drops it in. Immediately just jumped in. So they've moved that information over. You can move as little or information or little information as you want, much as little. What's nice about that is by putting in the zip code, this is tied into our zip code database. So I happen to know in 40207, they've got multiple zip codes. I could actually change whatever one that needed to be. But it went to the field that I told it to address street because the rest of the information I had. This also has a trigger on it that if the email they provided was bad, it would say invalid email, so they could correct it here. So it's not checking it in the URL, it's doing it once it got here. It did not generate the confirmation. Aha. Let's see, we need to add this field. Come on. Oh, I'm in WebDirect. I can't add a field in WebDirect. That was data entry. And confirmation. So if we look at the very last record, browse. There's the information. And I don't know what happened to our barcode. But that sort of takes it into, but it's a neat way of being able to move data from one system to another. So we do this for registration all the time. They'll register it for someplace else and it populates over to it. And so we can actually move quite a bit of information over. So questions on that one? That was sort of a whirlwind on it.
So when you say that was created in another system,
Yeah.
What, like a online form system?
It was that you know, we do registrations. What'll happen is they use a lot of different companies, C-band, those ones. And so what'll happen, it'll send an email confirmation. And what happens is it then sends that to us. So we'll have it for use on site. So it just sends it, it's just a URL.
So instead of sending an email, it sends the URL in an email?
Well, no, it's sending in, it's two things. One is, it depends upon what you need to do. Well, we use this is for BACS verification, is if they've registered for someplace else, but then they have to come over to our system to finish the registration and upload their BACS card, it'll move all the data over into our system so they don't have to retype anything in. Make sense?
Oh, okay.
So then they
come over here to finish the registration.
Right, versus having to, they had to go register for two different places.
Oh, okay, I see.
And so we've kept the confirmation number the same, but on our system now they can upload their images and our doctors, that type of stuff, will then go verify, you know, the stuff that they have to do.
Okay.
Yeah, we had an interesting one last month. We did a biotech conference in San Diego, and there was 20 countries involved. The system worked real good until we got some foreign languages in there, because they threw characters at us that we'd never seen before, because their computer would generate it in the characters that that country had. So you start getting into Arabic and that type of stuff. It choked on those. It was a good idea, but that one didn't work. Okay, so that's what I sort of had for today. What I'm going to do is I'll give the people that are in the session today, I'll send you a link and this file is available as is, but then I'll also put it in a Dropbox with a link. So if you wanted to download it and then play with it and tear it apart, you can. The one online you can work with, but it's being shared by everybody. So, but with full access of 99999, I mean, you can make whatever changes you have. Questions? What else would everybody like to see? I mean, I've sort of made a decision on what I'm presenting, but I mean, what other people would like to see in the CRM as we keep going forward?
I think one of the things that we talked about early on, and a question that came up had to do with emailing out of the database. And we explored the use of SMTP to go, which was really helpful to me because I now use SMTP to go to email everything, which was great, but it might be something to look at.
Yes, that's a good one. How about on the next time we do it, I'll do the variations of a client, the email server built into our SMTP to go. Last month, we hit a new record of 67,000 emails out of SMTP to go. So we use it just a little bit.
Yeah. I'm actually getting ready to work on a looping script to send emails, and it'll probably be less than 1,000 in a batch. And I guess some of the questions I had is, do I need to do a pause in between them? Can I loop through those records and just fire them off as fast as FileMaker can loop through them?
No. What you don't want to do that at all. What you want to do is you want to do perform script on server.
Yeah.
You hit the button and it's done. You can shut the system down. You don't need to worry about it.
Sure, but it's still going to have to loop through those records and send an email for each one, even if it's doing it on the server.
Right, but you don't have to do any pause or anything else like that at all.
Okay, so it'll send them as fast as FileMaker can loop through and send them.
Yep. And
Fantastic.
on ours, we actually had to generate an attachment with the PDF because it had an image on it with the barcode, and it was processing at about, I think it was what, 2,200 an hour. I mean, that's because it had to generate an individual image for every single one that it had to send out. So, I mean, but it's a pretty good clip. So what's nice about that is then at the end, I write a script. So it timestamps it as this is when it started and this is when it ended and this is how many it sent. So I don't have to sit there and worry about it. Did it go or not?
Nice. And yeah, I've been doing a lot of pushing emails over to the server, especially whenever I need to attach a file to it. If it's a file out of a container, for instance, because we have so many users on WebDirect, that's just an ugly process of asking the user to export the file and attach it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you
that don't work.
Nope. And WebDirect can't use the temporary folder and export it itself. So I push it over to the server and it all happens on the server where it exports and attaches the file from there. So the tough part about that though is, man, we were doing a little debugging. It's a lot harder to debug scripts when those scripts are happening on the server.
Yes, it is. It took me a long time to really learn how to do things on server. And I've sort of got it somewhat similar, slimmed down, but it's still, yeah, if you run into a problem, it is a mess to debug, no question about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and sometimes if you're in WebDirect, sometimes you want to run it local and sometimes you want to run it on server. So you have to be cognizant of what works best in which platform.
Yeah. And in WebDirect, you, as a developer, you really don't have a lot of control sometimes of what mail client they're using. So unless it's just a simple acknowledgement, I pretty much have always started moving all that stuff over to the server just because there I can control, how it's going to be handled.
Yeah.
Hey, Alan, I have a question about SMTP to go.
Yeah.
Is it strictly SMTP or do they have an API?
They do have APIs available.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Because I've been
I
using
don't know.
SendGrid lately, and it has both.
I did, and my answer is solely based on the fact that when I go to the SMTP website control panel, I see that there's buttons there to click for API documentation. So that's all I know about it.
Yeah, I've
I've
been using the API with SendGrid.
Yeah. The installing the SMTP to go part of it is actually so simple that yeah, unless you've got something really complicated, I don't know why I would do it.
I had the SMTP part of it fail when I was going with SendGrid. SendGrid is connected to Twilio. It's
Okay.
their email tool, and so I just gave up. I tried to debug it, and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. So I just switched over to using the API, and it's pretty simple as well.
Yeah.
And the documentation is really good.
Yeah. If you're an API builder, I'm not there yet.
Oh, it's real straightforward. It's just a insert from URL, and you put the URL and some parameters, and you're done.
Yeah. Well, okay, so next month, I can't believe I'm going to be in Phoenix during the show. Whoever schedules a meeting in July in Phoenix should be shot, but that's beside the point. So I won't
It's
be
like
here.
scheduling it in Las Vegas.
Yeah. So anyway, so I won't be here next month, but the following month I'll work on doing email, and we'll explore a couple of it. And so Jonathan, put your hat on for doing the API part of it. And I'll do email and the SMTP to go built in on the server, as well as the SMTP to go part of it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Divide and conquer.
I'll demo that because it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And if someone wants to add something that we need to be building on this CRM, drop us a note at info@kyfmp.com, and Ron and I will add it to the list of what we should be adding to it. So.
Yeah, while we're at it, I also wanted to just let everybody know, if you know of anybody who would like to present, if anybody has any ideas, for instance, Alan won't be here next month, so we'll have a opening for a presenter. And we usually try and do Alan's and a presenter afterwards, but yeah, I mean, I'm just starting my networking in FileMaker as far as I still don't know enough people. It's been a struggle to try and come up with somebody to present because I don't have enough connections yet. So I'll be reaching out this month trying to.
Well, you know Vince.
Hmm?
You know Vince. You should get him to demo Inspector.
Yeah.
Vince, the guy that was just here.
Did he already leave? Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he said he had to go. He's got that Inspector tool that's really cool that analyzes FileMaker files.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
What about Dave Ramsey's? Was it perception?
FM Perception, yeah. He would be happy to demo that too. He demoed it a few years back.
Yeah, there's been lots of changes on that. So
Yeah,
I'm sure there has. But I haven't seen a demo on Inspector Pro recently, and it's got some unique features. That,
well, we got to reach out to Vince on that, and when the DDR that the new release on it has it, that'd be a great one for him to demo on it. Once they get that.
Absolutely. Well, we should get all three of them. Then there's base elements and FM Perception.
Yeah.
All three of them should step up their game then.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a couple of suggestions, but anybody else, is also welcome to forward any suggestions or let anybody know to contact us if they have something they'd like to present. So it's actually funny because I think the Atlanta group, I just got an email that was sent through FileMaker's got like a little group for group facilitators, and they just sent out an email that they're looking for presenters too. So I guess we're all kind of scrambling, trying to find presenters. But I can only
It's a
imagine,
job.
considering there are so many more groups active now with all the virtual groups going on. There's a lot of groups happening every month. So we'll see if we can track somebody down for next month.
Yeah. Also, since you suggested we talk about it today, 19.5 is out. It's been out for a couple of weeks, and you mentioned that we might talk about that today, but
Yeah.
we could get somebody from FileMaker also to demo that maybe.
Yeah. I don't know that there were anything, I didn't see or haven't heard of anything that really has got me excited about 19.5. I mean, there's a lot of under the hood improvements and bug fixes and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't see any new bells and whistles that had me excited about anything. But
well, that's true. It isn't a major release.
yeah, I was hoping WebDirect would be more stable, which I guess it is. It's just, you know, my use case with hammering away at WebDirect the way we do is, it's been a tough one. So
Yeah, well, every time they come out with a new version, there's new bugs.
yeah, of course.
They fix a bunch of old ones and create new ones.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is it used to be easier to keep track of what version it was. Now that we're doing these subversions, I'm not sure when a major one happens.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
used to
it's
be
like-
that when we moved to 19, I was always one version behind. Now I'm not sure exactly what one version is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they fix so many bugs that we've had to deal with that you feel really motivated to upgrade because you'd like to get away from some of those bugs, but then you've got a whole new can of worms.
Yeah.
Well, the other is with the operating system upgrading too. I mean, they're dropping earlier when the old ones don't work anymore.
Yeah.
That's like this 19.5. I think it only goes back 2 versions of iOS or OS. I mean,
Oh, wow.
OS.
yeah. I think it's Big Sur is as far as, I don't, does
And
it go
Monterey?
back beyond that? I don't know if it goes back beyond Big Sur, because I've had to upgrade almost all our servers. We've got quite a collection of the Mac Studios where the performance are really well on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You've got some in-house, you're saying?
I've got 3 of them sitting here on my desk right now. The 2 just came in the other day. It was going to go to Stenny's. We're going to be putting in parallel sync servers at other locations, which is going to be it's going to be interesting.
Wow, nice.
Yep.
So Michael's joined us. Have we heard his voice yet?
No, you haven't. I was eating lunch.
Hey, Michael.
But I can participate.
Yeah. And Sean, as a new person, I put on at the bottom of the screen, info@kyfmp.com. Don't hesitate to email that. It goes to Jonathan, Ron, and myself, and we'll try and help with if you've got an issue. Okay.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
We also have a listserv that's fairly quiet. So anything you post there will definitely get noticed.
Okay.
Did you have any questions today, Sean? Did anything kind of jump out at you that maybe you need some clarification on, or anything, any help on that?
I have so many questions, but which is where I'm so new. So I'm probably going to be hitting you all up.
And that's perfectly fine.
We've all had to lean on each other to get where we are. So that's just part of the sharing. They call it the
We have a
FileMaker community.
We have a combined 800 years of FileMaker experience between the 3 of us. So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So see, that's why I'm bald, because of FileMaker. I used to have a full head of hair before FileMaker.